Hey, Jersey John here with the Johnny Says e-bike channel. And today I want to talk about what I carry with me when I go on rides. Some of my rides are in parks and local trails, nothing too extreme. But sometimes I like to ride up in the mountains, and we're getting a good, 20 miles plus up into these mountains. So today I'm packed for a mountain ride. Now there's two things I'm going to carry with me on a mountain ride that I don't carry on normal rides. And there's one thing that I never carry with me on a mountain ride that I can bring with me on any other type of ride. And that's food. I don't have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches stuffed in my pockets or in my bag when I go into the mountains, because every bear, every mountain lion is going to smell this stuff from miles away and want to find out what it is. So that's no attention there that I want to draw to myself, and I leave those things at home. And a little bit later, I'll show you the two things that I do carry with me when I ride into the mountains. So now these bags generally have two straps holding them down. And when I'm riding, on rough trails, and right now everything's rutted out from the rains and the erosion, those straps are going to take a lot of abuse bouncing up and down, and they're probably going to break on you. So what I do is I keep a bungee cord that straps the bag to the rack and reduce the stress on the straps. I also keep a longer bungee cord on there because, like, right now it's a little cooler out, and we're dressed up in layers, and if you want to shed some layers, you want to take your jacket off, you got another bungee cord or a longer one. You could throw your jackets on there, strap them down, you're good to go. All right, so now this particular bike, the rear rack broke. So what I do is I throw on what I call my emergency rack. It just attaches to the seat post until I get the replacement of the original. All right, so today let's talk about what's in the bag. So all the stuff right here fits into this bag. So when you talk about fitting 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag, that's what I do. So there's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to go through it pretty quick. Number one, coffee, caffeine. Nothing like sitting on top of the mountain, overlooking the valleys and the canyons, having a nice cup of Joe. You got to have water. Water. This one, why is it in a plastic bag? Well, these bottles leak, and when they leak inside your bag and they get all this stuff wet, you learn your lesson, and I keep it in a Ziploc bag now. The most common problem I run into when riding the e-bike on the trails is going to be flats. So to deal with flats, first thing you're going to need is your handlebar jacks. These things open up into a little tripod. You strap this to your handlebar, put it on the ground. It keeps all your display and all your gadgets off the ground and getting smashed. The original handlebar jacks. Can't go wrong with these. All right, so you're going to change a flat. First thing you got to do is take your tire off the rim. You got a wrench to take the nut off the axle, 19 millimeter for this particular bike. You're going to want to keep an adjustable or 10 millimeter wrench for the flat sides of the axle to release the tension. So if you don't release that tension, the wheel's going to be pretty tough to get off. You got to remove the air from the tire. Use a valve stem remover, the straighter valve. You have another one like this. It's a cap that's always on the bike. It's great because it's always there, but I just don't like the design. When I'm cleaning my wheel, I'm going to be cutting my hand on that thing. Now you got to take the tire off the rim. I like the plastic tire removers. These are just literally a couple of bucks. I like plastic over the metal so they don't scratch the rims. Now I'm going to need a tube. I replace my tube. I'll deal with fixing the flat later in case there's more than one hole. So I change my tube. If it's a regular tire, I have 4-inch. If I have Tannis on the bike, I'm going to use a 3-inch tube, okay? Now, once you get all that done, you're going to need air in your tire. You could have a manual pump. I prefer the electric pump. It's the Rock Brothers pump. Even has a flashlight in the end for when you're working at night and you can see what you're doing. And I like to use the quick release end on these. Okay, and so I have a tube, but I also carry a patch kit. This patch kit really isn't for me. It's for when I see a biker who's down, doesn't have tools, doesn't have a patch kit. I'll offer them some help, and I'll have a patch kit for them. Okay? Now, if it's cold, I'll keep a spare pair of spare gloves in there. And inside this here is a pair of sunglasses. Now, why do I keep the sunglasses? These are backup glasses. So during the day, I will have sunglasses in here. And during the night, I will have a pair of clears. Okay. Why do I keep them in the rag? Because if I just leave them in the bag, they're going to get all scuffed up, the lenses, and they'll be unusable by the time I put them on. Okay, antiseptic wipe, first aid. No, this is to clean any wires or cables that I want to tape with electrical tape. I want to make sure the tape sticks, so I like to clean them and prep them with this. Then I have my electrical tape for that, and also first aid kit. Spyderco knife, boom, just in case I have to cut a wire or something like that. Needle nose pliers. I like to keep a multi-tool, so if I need to do something real quick, like tighten a mirror, I don't have to go open everything up. Okay, so now most of the bolts on the e-bikes are these Allen keys. What I like is a nice ratchet style extendable nut driver. Home Depot, couple of bucks. And then what I do is I get me a kit of assorted Allen head keys, and this way I could take off any bolt with just those two. All right. And then I also carry a couple of spare bolts, pretty common ones in case something falls out of like a caliper or something. Then I have this old brake bleed kit box. I said one day I'm going to use this for something. I actually did, so I turned it into a tool kit. Now, if you don't have something like that laying around, you could actually just get like a Tupperware container and make yourself a little tool kit. You know, get a size that works for your bag. So what do I have in here? I have all these tools. Then I also keep a rag on the bottom. What's the rag for? Well, to clean my hands in the end if I'm all greasy. But it's a sound deadening thing there. So when I have this on the bottom, I don't hear rattling. I put that in there and everything's pretty quiet, right? All right, almost there. So we got battery pack. Even though most of these bikes have USB charging ports, I don't like to plug anything into the bike for fear of shorting something out. So if I have to charge my phone or my gadgets, I use this. Little bag with 3 cords, phone cord, mini USB, and the mini USB-C for like a GoPro. This is a little rubber glove and some adhesive tape, little first aid, a couple of zip ties, and a bungee, something always coming loose. I keep a spare light in case I'm out longer than I thought and it gets dark and I don't have I want more light. Or if I'm riding at night and there's always somebody who doesn't have enough light, so I'll keep a spare light on me. Now, all this stuff I carry on every ride. And the 2 items that I don't carry on every ride, just on the mountain rides, would be these 2 items right here. This is the air horn. I think it's like 120 decibels. Started out, I bought a silly little party horn at the supermarket when I was getting a birthday banner. And I used that little horn to scare a bear off that was blocking my trail. So after that, I went to Big 5 Sporting Goods. I got me a Marine air horn for future bear encounters. And then last but not least, this is some bear mace, which was hard to get because apparently people were spraying this at the police and they didn't want to sell it to people for bears anymore. Hopefully I don't have to ever use this, but the bear I ran into, he was probably about 50 yards from me, so he could have closed that ground pretty quick. That would have been the only thing I would have had to stop him other than using my bike as a shield. All right, so this is all the stuff that I carry. And I think I have the flat changing at night in the woods down to about 20 minutes max. So without all this stuff, I'd be walking that bike home. So that was a lot of stuff in that bag. And one more item I forgot to mention was the battery key. Keep a spare battery key with you. Recently, I believe it was an Air Code 10 I had, which was no power. The bike wasn't moving. Riding an 80-pound bike home uphill with no power wasn't fun. All you needed was a battery key, so keep one of these with you in your bag, your toolbox, somewhere where it's not going to fall out and get lost. All right, so hope you got something out of that. Few pointers, few tips, even if it's just one item, right? What not to bring in the mountains, such as food. Click like, click subscribe, check back. I'll have some more stuff coming up. And remember, when people ask you, why do you carry that with you? You tell them, well, that's what Johnny says.